when I was a little boy, my parents used to go to the movies in Hebron, and I would see singers like Jorge Negrete and Pedro Infante, Tito Guizar, and I could see how they were dressed, and I could also I've noticed that the musicians that were playing for them were also dressed like they were, and my thoughts were, how can this be? Because the charro outfit was supposed to be a cowboy, Mexican cowboy. But here they are playing musical instruments. And so one movie in particular that I remember very well was Allá en el Rancho Grande with Tito Guizar and Lorenzo Barcelata, where they're strumming guitars and they're playing coplas. And in these coplas, they're insulting each other with songs. And of course, they're playing guapangos, and that caught my interest, how they were playing those guapangos. So when I went to the movies, I was always hoping that I would see somebody playing guapangos. And then later on, Miguel Aceves Mejia came along, and he started singing sones. And so I'm going through school, and I'm thinking these thoughts about music, but I don't know nothing about music. And one of my classmates, who was Jose Ramos, one day told me, hey, why don't you learn how to play the guitar? And I said, well, I don't have a guitar. He says, oh, I got one. So Prieto, without me knowing, his nickname was Prieto, without me knowing, knew how to play the guitar, and he knew all about trios. And he started telling me about trios, and he showed me the elementary chords of a guitar. So from there, I started learning the guitar and listening to more music, okay? But when I was in the 8th grade, I was invited to join the folkloric dance group there in Bruni. They had some concerts coming up, and they needed some male dancers. So one of the girls invited me to learn how to dance, and she taught me how to dance folkloric music. We went to Hill Auditorium in St. Louis, Missouri, to perform over there for 2 weeks. And then we would, I think we would do about 3 performances per day, 2 or 3 performances per day. And then in between, we'd go to the colleges, okay? But the interesting part about that is that the music that they were playing was on 33 RPM records, long play, and it sounded so beautiful, like sounded like La Bamba, sones veracruzanos, el jarabe tapatío, el jarabe la botella. And I didn't know really what kind of group was making that sound, because in Bruni, our music teacher was playing the piano, or we would use the records. And with the records, I couldn't tell, the type of musicians that were playing those instruments. So that was one phase. I graduated from school, and I went to the service, and I came to San Antonio. I got married, started working at Kelly, and I got sick working in the shops, and they had to transfer me out of the machine shop where I was working to another shop. And the supervisor, Armando Scott, one day came to me and told me, I heard that you could play the guitar. I said, a little bit. He says, have you ever heard a mariachi mass being played? I said, no. He says, come to Mission San Jose. at noon on Sundays. He says, go this coming Sunday, and I'll be there. So me and my wife and the kids, we went to San Jose Mission, and they had this mariachi mass, and it blew me away. I mean, I loved it so much. The following Monday, he asked me how I felt, and I told him, hey man, it's great, I just loved it. He says, why don't you come and join our group? And I told him, I don't know nothing about mariachi, nothing. And he told me that not to worry, that he would have someone teach me. And so I started going to San Patricio Church, where they were teaching mariachi music, and also at the Sacred Heart Church downtown. And Mr. Ben Valdez, who was a member of Mariachi Trio Los Conquistadores, he became a mentor. He was the one that was showing me how to play mariachi music. He wanted me to learn the vihuela, so I picked it up.
What year was that?
This was in 1969. So I started going to these practices, and the name of the church mariachi was called Mariachi de Colores. And Armando Scott, the gentleman that invited me to go to the church and see the first mariachi mass, he was the director of the choir. Let me think what I said.
Mariachi Mass, director of the choir.
Yeah, it was the Mariachi de Colores. And so we would go I think it was every Tuesday we would go to learn how to play the mariachi mass, and then on Sundays we would play the mass. Well, this is how I met the singer for that became the singer for Mariachi Azteca, which was Aureliano de Hoyos. I met him, and one day he invited me to go and with him, and we would play at bars and restaurants. And eventually, one day, someone asked him if we would play at a party. And we went and we played at a party. And that person told another person that Aurelio and myself had this duet that we were playing. So they started inviting us to play at parties. And I think it was in 69 or 1970 where Aurelio was asked to play at this party, but they said, we want you to take a trumpet. And Aurelio came to me and says, hey, Mando, they invited us to go play at this party, but they want a trumpet. Do you think that Rudy, who was a member of Mariachi de Colores, played the trumpet, would go? I said, I don't know, you can ask him. He says, and they also want a guitarrón. And there was a guy by the name of Guillermo Lopez, who he called Willie. So I said, well, ask them both. So he did, and they accepted. So now there was 4 of us, and we started doing little gigs, but mainly for the people, the members of the choir, people that knew us. So we were like that for a few months, and then Rudy comes over and says, there's a gentleman that plays vihuela that he says that he would like to join the group if we will allow him. And we asked him who he was, and he says his name is Cesar Ponce. So we agreed to talk to him and let him tell us his ideas or whatever. So Cesar came and met with us, And Cesar was a partner in a engineering consulting company here in San Antonio. He was educated, had a college degree, a very good spokesman, excellent. And we liked what he was saying, you know. We thought that he would be a good person. So we invited him to join the group. And we had been using two violins once in a while. One of those violin players was Juanito Sandoval, who we call little brother, because everybody that met Juanito became his little brother. He called everybody little brother. So we invited him to join the group, and he says, "Yeah, I'll join the group." So that's how we got together. I think it was 1971, almost 72, by the time we completed the six people.
Describe what the music scene was like in San Antonio at that time. What was the norm?
You know, from my observations and talking to other people, most of the musicians here in San Antonio, which were excellent musicians, but they were all freelancers, you know. And I I know that at one time Mariachi Eco de Mexico existed, but it had broken up. I think it broke up right before Hemisphere or right after Hemisphere. Remember, in 1968, it had broken up. There was another mariachi called Chapultepec, which was an excellent, excellent mariachi group. It had consisted of, I think, up to 12 people. And it was brought to San Antonio by three brothers, Lopez, Arturo, Alfonso, y Alberto Lopez. And there was a fourth one that his name was Frausto, Jose Luis Frausto. And talking, I didn't know him, but talking to the local musicians, you know, my friends, they're excellent musicians. But the thing that I understand was that because San Antonio was the hub of the mariachis that were coming from Mexico over here, and from here they would go either to Houston, Dallas, or Chicago. It was very difficult to have a permanent mariachi group because they'd come in and join a group, and within 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe a month, they'd be gone to Houston or Dallas or Chicago. So it was difficult to have a permanent group. I understand that's when they got big jobs, that they would sometimes have to bring in from Mexico to complete the group, you know, and then they do the job and then go back to Mexico. However, when we made the commitment to become a group, we agreed that we would not play with nobody. Once we made the group, we stayed as a group. We didn't play with nobody other, no other group, nobody else. You know, we did not freelance. So for those 6 or 7 years that we were together, the group that you saw today would be the same group that you saw next week, next month, next year. And that's the way it was with us, you know.
Were there many groups that were like you at that time?
After we organized, a lot of little groups began to get organized here in San Antonio, but it was the same problem. You know, they'd play and then they'd break up and disband, or they bring in somebody else. And I think really, thinking back, that our situation versus the freelance musician is that we were all fully employed mariachis. We had our own jobs on the outside, And we played for the love of the music. I know that I did. I wasn't looking for any other little jobs. I just wanted to learn the mariachi music, and play it. So I was no need to be looking and having to work with other groups. And I think the other guys did too, because we managed to stay together for 7 years and never played with anybody else.
What was like the biggest turning point for you as a group when you realized that, wow, we really have something solid? What was?
Oh, the response from the people, it was amazing because when Malaysia Chapultepec perished at that fire in Chicago, I went to the funeral. I was amazed at how many people, other groups from all over, came to the services, and afterwards, we'd gather around and talk, and everybody had such nice things to say about them. Let me get my thoughts.
Yeah, sure.
Up until what was it? Chapultepec passed away. I wasn't aware of many other groups here in San Antonio as far as being organized. And to my amazement, once we got organized, people just started calling us. And we were just learning. We didn't know that much, about mariachi music. We were practicing twice a week on our own for the mariachi group, and then we were practicing twice a week for the church. So we would put in about 4 or 5 practices a week, and plus on the weekends, on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, we'd do the gigs. So it became like snowball. I remember one time that we went to Club Rivera, and Mateo Camargo, who was a very popular musician and also a radio, he had his own radio show. He was playing there, and when we walked in, he stopped the music and came over and asked us if we needed his microphones. And he took the microphones away from his musicians and set them up for us so that we could use them. And then after we got through, he came over and thanked us and told us that it sounded very nice and he liked the way we were dressed. And the next day, I'm driving somewhere in my car and I had my radio, I think it was KCOR. He had his own show, and he was talking about us, saying how nice and neat we looked, and that he felt that we had a good future here in San Antonio, And Lord and behold, everything started falling into place. Then everybody was calling us. Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, we were busy. One particular job that I remember that we played was for the re-election of Richard Nixon, his campaign. We played about 4 or 5 hours at the Keefe field right behind St. Mary's University. And the Conquistadores and Rosita Fernandez were there. And we were sharing the stage. They would play one song and we would play another song. But they only played 1 hour and they were gone. And Marisa Azteca stayed there. We played there till about 7 o'clock in the evening. And then from there, they took us, we were going to go to Floresville, to the John Connolly Ranch. And then somebody made a phone call or something, because then they said, okay, we're not going to go over there because they already got another group. They took us to the Gunter Hotel, and we played till about 2:30 in the morning. That's a lot of work, you know. But this was happening to us, and it was a phenomenon that I still don't understand, because as far as I know, we wasn't that accomplished, but we were playing what they wanted, I guess. I don't know.
How did the costumes come to be? Whose idea was that?
Am I here in the chair, or is is Wanda reading the newspaper or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's over there.
You can hear that.
Hey, Wanda,
Yes,
you don't have a magazine, do you? I'm hearing that newspaper.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know if it was Amando's feet on the chair. I thought the chair was creaking. I'm like, what in the world? We'll play the tape back for you. I'll show you.
I'm sorry. Poor Wanda.
Sorry for interrupting your Saturday morning. You're just sitting in your house reading your newspaper. Someone's yelling at you. That's terrible.
Can I get a glass of water? At first, when we started, and we had the first four guys, we were already doing gigs, but Aurelio would use Aurelio and his mariachi, okay? And then once we brought in the last guy, then Aurelio came to me and told me, "Hey, Amando, you know, why don't we call the group Mariachi Azteca?" Fine, you know, no, there's no other group here in town that's got that name. So we started using Mariachi Azteca. And then Cesar Ponce, a while later, came over and told me, you know, Mando, Bejar is an Indian name that means friendship. Don't you think that if we said Mariachi Azteca de Bejar would improve the name of the group, you know, and make it sound better? And I thought about it. I said, you know what? That's something we promote, goodwill and friendship to people. You know, I have no objections. You know, if you guys want it, we'll do it that way. So we changed the name to Mariachi Azteca de Bejar, and then that was Caesar's suggestion. He was the idea, and then Caesar himself, being a architect, he designed the logo with pyramid shaped letters. So I still got some of those business cards. Yeah, it's the idea. And then we thought about the outfits. So Mr. Benny Valdez, my mentor, when I asked him, you know, where could I get some outfits, he says that he had done business with the familia Garcia from Juarez, Mexico. And he gave us the address, and we went over there, and we had our outfits made. Great people, you know. I think we had about 4 or 5 outfits made by him. Yeah. We always got complimented about the outfits, and when we went, we would match everything: the hats, the suits, and the boots, and the tie, and belts. You know. But it was a different type of belt then than what we use now. But anyway, we try to dress nice, and people appreciated that. We would always get compliments about the way we were dressed.
Did that have anything to set y'all apart, or did that help set you apart as far as what other mariachi groups?
I think so, yeah, because what it was is that most of the other groups, like I said, were freelancers. So in order for a group to put a group, someone to put a group together, okay, real quick like, especially the people that were at the plaza, mariachis that were at the plaza, everybody wore black with a red tie. So if a customer went to La Plaza del Zacate, which is what they called it, and asked for a mariachi group, they would pick the guys, 4 or 5 guys, whatever they needed, and they were already dressed, and they would go and do the job. So that was fine. You know, but we decided that we'd do it a little bit different. We changed outfits. And another interesting thing that I'm trying to recollect is that when Juan Ortiz, who's now director of Mariachi Campana de America, when he came and started working with me, I had already made plans to have a all-white outfit. I don't recall ever seeing any other mariachi wear a complete white outfit before, Not here in San Antonio, nor in magazines had I ever seen it, or in the records or anything, So, but I felt that we were doing so many weddings that I felt that mariachi in white would be nice. We'd take pictures with the bride and groom, and that went over pretty good with the people here in San Antonio. So whenever we had calls for a wedding, some of them would ask me, please wear your white outfits, and of course we always obliged.
But how many weddings were you doing? How many, when you said the phenomenon took off and you were busy?
How many weddings we were doing?
Or just, you said you were booked from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What was the normal routine?
Well, most weddings were on either Saturdays or Sundays, okay? And we made it easy for the people because we would play, we knew how to play 2 masses, the Misa Ranchera and La Misa Panamericana, okay? So we would do the mass, the wedding mass ceremonies, and then in the evening we would do the reception, okay? So we would do 1 wedding and 1 reception on Saturday, and we'd do 1 wedding and 1 reception on Sunday, plus little parties here and there, if we had the time in between. But yes, we were doing quite a bit of weddings. Just about every weekend we had weddings, just about every weekend. In 1975, we broke up momentarily for about, I would say about 4 months, 5 months. I don't remember exactly. And then there was only, there was only 5 of us then. And then when we organized, we became 7 because we brought in 2 trumpets and 2 violins. So the original Mariachi Azteca, I was playing vihuela, and Guillermo Lopez was playing guitarrón, and little brother was playing the violin, Rudy was playing the trumpet, and Cesar was playing guitarra golpe. When we came in with the 7, then we had 2 trumpets, 2 violins. I switched from vihuela to guitarrón, and Willie Lopez changed from guitarrón to violin. We increased the group to 7 musicians, and I switched from playing the vihuela to playing the guitarrón, and Willie Lopez, who played guitarrón, switched to playing a violin, and then I had Enrique playing trumpet, first trumpet, and Rudy Trevino switched from first trumpet to second trumpet. So now we had 7. And that's the way we remained until we broke up for permanently, 1977. Besides the schedule that we had with the mariachi, playing all of these gigs, besides working at Kelly, and each one working at our regular jobs, okay, I was involved also with the little league teams for my son. He was playing little league ball. I was one of the coaches, and I also had a ornamental ironworks business, and I had a partnership with Royal Studios, the photography studio downtown. Cesar Ponce was an engineer, and he was also a scout master, and he had other interests also. Rudy Trevino was very much involved with other things. He was a member of the Toastmasters Club and other activities. You know, a lot of us were probably under a lot of pressures and tensions and stuff like that. And what happened was something very trivial, very, very trivial. This particular job that we had at one of the plazas at La Villita, I think Lolo, one of the singers, no, Ponce had studied to become a deacon, okay? And he was going to be gone. So I brought in Manuel Mier, Jesus Manuel Mier, very accomplished mariachi, very popular in San Antonio, a very good friend of mine. And I asked him if he would come and help me and bail me out. She says, "Of course I will." So he comes and he's singing with us. He's playing with us. And we get to this particular table, and the person is asking for a particular song, a song that Maria Chastega was not familiar with. We didn't know it. And Jesus Mier, being the gentleman and the accomplished musician, he says, "Don't worry, I know it. Just give me a chord, you know." Gave him a chord, and he started singing. Well, Rudy Trevino, the trumpet player, was completely confused, and he got upset. He got upset because Chuy Mier sang the song without him knowing it. Okay? And we did the song, you know. But after we got through singing the song with the job, and we were walking away to our cars, he started, berating Chuy Mier. He got angry with him and told him that he wasn't supposed to start singing without him giving an intro, and if he didn't know the intro, he shouldn't be singing it. Okay? And I felt real bad. I felt extremely bad because I had invited him. He was doing me the favor of bailing me out by coming and helping us, okay? And then him chewing on him like that, I felt bad. And I told him that wasn't right. He shouldn't be doing that. I told him not to stop it. And he told me, "If you tell me to stop it, I'm going to quit." And I had to tell him, "Well, if you want to quit, go ahead and quit." When Rudy said, "Okay, I'm no longer a member of your group," then Willie Lopez, the guitarron player, said, "Well, if he goes, I go." I said, "That's your choice, you know." So I lost both of them, because of that. and this is what bothered me quite a bit, because I felt that I failed because I wasn't good enough to negotiate with them, try to get them back. And it wasn't until 27 years later when I called them up. And I called it reunion, okay? And we became friends, you know. But that's what happened. And to me, it was so trivial, but it happened. It happened. But it took 27 years.
What happened after that? Did you start just playing on your own or playing with?
When we broke up the second time, Juan Ortiz was already playing with me, and Enrique Benavides was playing with me, and then Belen Escobedo came to play with me, and we kept playing as Maria Azteca. I think, but that little group only lasted for about maybe a year. It didn't last too long. Oh, I know what happened. They sent me to Delaware for 3 months, and I had already been experiencing heart problems, and the doctor had prescribed me some medicines. But being over there for 3 months, I ran out of the medicines. So for the last 3 weeks, I didn't have any medicines. I got real sick. When I came back, I had to break up the group because I couldn't work. I had to take a long rest, so I had to disband the group.
So did you, I guess, own the name Mariachi Azteca or?
See, yeah. It was registered. I had it registered in 1977. 1977. What happened? I think that once we started playing, since I was the one that probably was more available to do things for the group, okay. I wanted to join the International Musician Union, okay. And I was the one that went to register the group. So in the union's records, Maria Azteca de Bejar, Amando Garcia, you see it there, okay. And every job that went out in the newspaper, just about, Maria Azteca de Bejar, Amando Garcia, that's the way. And I don't know who would put them in the news. I guess the union would put them in the news. So I was automatically put up there. But in 1977, I did register the group. And I had it under my register till 1987. It's a 10-year. And after 1987, then I didn't register it anymore.